This podcast contains detailed plot spoilers, adult language, and mature themes. Listener discretion is advised.
Hey guys.
We're here.
All right.
We did it.
Yes. Wall Street
Success.
didn't fuck us over on this, so the Securities Exchange Commission had nothing to do with this problem. So
If anybody listening got caught up in the GameStop frenzy,
oh yes,
I did. You only have yourself to blame.
No, I made money. Who am I going to blame? I've made money and I'm making money.
Yeah. Well, congratulations. You should definitely not get involved in that stuff, but it's fine.
Yeah, let's just have the hedge funds and motherfucking shorters just fuck us over every day, right? But that's okay.
No, I think short selling should be abolished. And I've thought that for a long time.
Oh, of course, 100%.
Yeah.
But until they abolish it, then I'm cheering for the little guy. It's
Yeah.
like, why not? They throw out fake news just to drive down just short stock.
People's pension funds are tied up in those hedge funds, but that's okay. Fuck them.
I'm not sure pension funds are in the hedge funds. I think the billionaire stocks are in there. No,
they're most
not in
most
shorties.
of those,
Not in shorties.
No, in hedge funds, those are usually pension plans that are in those.
I think people should invest their money smarter, take control instead of letting someone else manage their money.
Instead of buying a regular mutual fund, go day trade. Good advice.
It's working for me. Anyways,
good advice. Excellent advice. Yeah, don't do that.
No, do it.
Don't do that. What do I care? Go ahead. It's a free country. Fucking go ahead.
That's right.
I don't know why we opened the show that way.
Hey, it's our way.
Yeah, we just talk about shit. I actually have an interesting anecdote for each of you, but we can save that for another time. So let's do this thing. You guys ready?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, ready.
All right. Welcome to a podcast of Rare Antiquities. We are continuing our episode by episode review of WandaVision. Yeah.
WandaVision. I'm kind of missing that tune.
Me too. Yeah, so we're on episode number 4. Very different departure, I guess, this week. We don't get the sitcom format today. Very, very much different take. So how are you guys doing tonight?
Doing all right.
Yeah, pretty good. I was kind of sort of surprised that I didn't see today's episode coming, given that some of the stuff I've seen in the trailers and whatnot came from this episode. So I should have known that at some point that there was going to be more of a focus on the outside world. But I thought that they would just kind of sprinkle that in and that we would have gotten like a full like Family Ties episode this week.
Me too. I was expecting the same. Harry, what's your opening salvo?
Yeah, it was catch up in the real world episode, so that's my comment. I wasn't expecting it. I was expecting maybe half and half, but they dedicated pretty much the full episode to Rambo. So
Rambo.
Yeah. That's one thing I want to say is like I never knew of this character before Captain Marvel, the movie, and like the mom. They hardly said the name Rambo in that movie. I know that was it's spelt differently from what I remember. And I think they only mention it once or twice, very off the cuff in Captain Marvel, the movie. But here it's like, Captain Rambo, Captain Rambo, Captain Rambo, Rambo!
That's true. Yeah.
I was taken aback by that, right? Because, there is only one Rambo, and it's not this person.
Well, no, she's not firing an M16 with a speech impediment. That's for sure. It's definitely a different character. No doubt about it.
Yeah, no, you're gonna have to wait for Captain Marvel 2 for her to massacre a bunch of non-white people with a like an anti-tank gun.
Yeah.
I will say this though. In the show, whether she was in Wanda's place or in the real world, she still did not get anything to eat. So
no,
I guess there's a through line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So the show actually. So I guess we'll just kind of go through the show. The opening I liked. We see what happened with people who returned from the blip or the snap, and they sort of float back into existence in the opposite form. So like at first, as she's getting reconstructed in the hospital, I didn't really get it right away as to what was happening, right? Because we knew that she kind of got kicked out of the town there. So I didn't really get what was happening until, she's running to the hospital, see other people forming. So I thought that was kind of an interesting insight there because we didn't see that in Endgame.
Yeah, because that took me like a full beat to like realize what was going on. Until I think it was actually only when she went out into the hallway. I'm like, oh, wait a second. Okay, I kind of get it now.
She like runs into somebody and who just appeared as well, right?
Yeah, well, but it's happening like all around. Like all the dust is reforming to people. I mean, they kind of touched on this a bit in Spider-Man Far From Home, but they did it for comedic purposes. But here you see like the full like chaos and the, well, not horror, but like the confusion around what that would cause, right? Yeah. Also, I hate that they called it the Blip. Like, it's just the dumbest name, the Blip. Like, I mean, I think at this point,
that's the in-universe name for it, right?
What is but why do they call it the Blip when, I don't know. It's also unclear. Is everyone coming back the Blip, or the fact that they were gone the Blip? Because like like the way most people refer to it like people like us, like it was the snap. Because I think in universe, people do understand like the actual events that led up to what had happened. So wouldn't they also call it the snap? The Blip, I thought was just a dumb name that they gave it Spider-Man because it's like intentionally dumb.
Well, and Blip doesn't seem to cover it either. Like a 5-year disappearance of half of the population of the world, of the universe.
But that's
Blip doesn't seem to cover it. Yeah.
But is the Blip people coming back, or is the Blip like them being gone? I guess that's the thing that's a little bit confusing because it's not completely clear to me. But I mean, we're kind of dwelling on like a very like the dumbest of minutia.
Yeah, well, that's what we do here. So yeah, Harry, what do you think about the opening there?
No, I dug it. No, as soon as they saw the flakes, even though she was sitting in the hospital, I said, okay, this is probably after Hulk or Iron Man brought people back, and Hulk. It was Hulk, right?
Hulk, yeah.
Yeah, that would have been the Hulk. That would have been the Hulk for Snap. So yeah, so I thought that was it. And yeah, confirmed in the hospital. I dig the chaos there. So good scene, good opening scene.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good opening scene. I agree. It really, as we said, the chaos was captured there. I don't know. I keep thinking about like, okay, this is just stupid questions. Like, what if you're scuba diving or on an airplane or whatever? But I'm sure they just have an explanation for that shit. So we don't need to.
No, I think that would have been awesome. Does he just see people fall to their death? Or
I think actually Kevin Feige has been asked this question, and he said, no, they're fine. They're just like in a different, because I guess like the Hulk would have somehow just kind of accounted for that. There's a weird logistical issue with that, right? Because there would have been a lot of people flying. So like where, like, are they directly on the ground? Because like in Infinity War, we do see a helicopter crash, in Wakanda, ships crash. But, in that hospital, one of the things I noticed was that someone came back on a gurney. So they blip out on the gurney, and that's the same gurney, like, because they're in the same, because then that's the other thing is that like, so is that gurney in the exact same spot that they blipped, and then they blip right back in the gurneys? I don't know. Like it's the weird logistics of that. So, but I think just because it looks cool, they just put people in weird positions.
Yeah. Speaking of positions, they could have done something interesting with some sexual jokes. You could have been inside something completely different.
I don't know what you mean. What are you talking about? What do you mean? I don't understand.
Yeah.
It's Disney Plus.
Understand.
It's Disney Plus.
I have no idea what you're talking about right now. It doesn't make any sense.
Dude,
to me.
that'll be like the Marvel porn parody. Which,
that's right.
if there is not a porn parody,
as if it doesn't
they don't
exist
capitalize.
Already.
Well, no, there does. I'm sure. Like, there's a porn parody for fucking Seinfeld. But I mean, if they haven't capitalized on that very idea of what happens after the blip, I mean, they're just leaving money on the table.
That's right.
That's true. Okay, so
we've got some research to do after this episode.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah, very serious research to do. Very academic, serious research. Yeah, exactly. Expect a full report.
Episode 5. Let us know your thoughts.
Exactly. Let us know your thoughts. Tweet at Harry. Don't email anything to me. All right. So this is where we get the identity of Monica Rambeau. And Sword, the organization of Sword, were introduced to them. So there's some world building here. I actually thought they did a pretty good job efficiently introducing Sword, her relationship with it. You still need to know the name to know who she is. We just get that quick picture of her mom on the wall there, right? And if you don't know who she is from Captain Marvel, then tough shit. So I like that they didn't have a bunch of exposition there. And her replacement as director of Sword, right? Some like the real world, just some white dude taking a black woman's job. Fuck that guy. Yeah.
Did anyone get any bad guy, like future bad guy vibes from him? Because I feel like Marvel kind of does this. Like people in authority are always the bad guy unless they're a superhero.
I could see that. I was too busy trying to figure out if I had seen him before in another Marvel in a movie somewhere.
He's so generic looking.
Yeah.
He's the most generic looking white. I thought that too. I thought, oh, I know that actor, and then I'm like, no, actually, I don't know that actor. He looks like an amalgamation of a bunch of other character actors that are like more background guys.
He's got that real I play a Republican senator in movies look to him.
Yeah. Also, the character is entirely like he's not a Marvel Comics character. I looked up the name. Tyler Hayward.
I figured you would know the answer there. Okay, so he's not.
Yeah, he's not anybody in the sense that he's completely constructed for the show.
So if that's the case, then like I hear what you're saying with the bad guy vibe, but then like they're just not going to make up a new bad guy, right?
I don't mean he's going to wear a suit. I mean like he could be like I don't know, like
Sean
a Hydra
back.
type.
Welcome, Sean. You might be the same Sean from before.
Oh, I was like, who's Harry talking about? Yeah,
that's right.
It's like why are you yelling at me, Harry?
Sean says hi.
Welcome to the show, Sean. We got a reference to AIM in here, right?
That's right.
Yep. Okay, good. We can all read.
I was kind of wondering like if there was any Captain Marvel 2 set up here or not, because I know this character is going to be in, but they're building stuff. Like it's a big set, and it feels like I don't know. It felt like too big to be throwaway. So
yeah,
and there was a bit of an allusion to Captain Marvel, anyways. I mean, it's a throwaway line, but
what was the line?
It was where they're talking about like threats from outer space, and Rambeau's like, well, and allies. She may have said threats and allies, and so I think that was like it's a very throwaway. Maybe I'm reading into it too much type of line, but that was my takeaway.
So she gets sent on some. Sorry, go ahead, Harry. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to advance the plot there. Like she's grounded for whatever bullshit reason, and she gets sent on some bullshit mission to New Jersey, poor lady. And we meet up with Agent Sensation. This is like the lower decks of the Avengers here. We got Monica, we got this dude. I can't even remember his name.
James Woo is the character. Raymond Park is the actor's name.
Raymond Park, yeah. Agent Woo, yeah. From Ant-Man.
Jimmy Woo.
Yeah, Jimmy Woo. This is the guy from Ant-Man, right?
Ant-Man, yeah, he's from Ant-Man. Ant-Man 2. Yeah. Was he in Ant-Man 1?
No, he was in the second one because he was the FBI agent assigned to watch him.
That's right. Yeah, he had a crush on Ant-Man.
Yeah.
He was pretty fun. I liked him in Ant-Man 2. He was funny. I mean,
he's funny.
You know.
He's funny, but they're forcing the humor on him instead of it having come naturally. So it's kind of like more of that forced awkward humor. And it worked for a bit in Ant-Man, but then it was really becoming a bit tiresome. So I'm kind of glad that what we saw of him here, he had a couple of those kind of moments where it was like forced humor, and it kind of worked. It's not saying it's bad, but I'm glad they didn't use him only for that.
I don't know if it was entirely forced. I think it's just like his character he's a big dork. And so it's because no one's laughing. Like he's not making a joke and someone's laughing. Like he's just like this adorable dork. I did like the fun callback when he takes out his business card and he does a little magic trick because that was like something that like Ant-Man was like practicing. He was practicing magic and he's like, "Oh, how'd you do that?" And I have to go back. I forget exactly how this.
No, you're right. That's a great catch.
Yeah,
right. I didn't catch that at all.
I laughed out loud when I first saw it. I was like, "Oh, that's a total callback to Ant-Man." There's a number of jokes I'll highlight as we talk about it more. He's got some great lines that I laughed out loud.
So it was interesting here. Like they're at the outskirts of the town with the local cops, and they're like, "Yeah, this town doesn't exist." It was a bit of a stretch for me to think that those cops didn't actually try to enter the town.
Oh, I have a question.
Okay.
So because I'm me, I actually went back and rewatched a few scenes.
Of course.
When I saw it the second time, I actually got the impression that it's not that they were saying that, oh, this town shouldn't be here. They seem to not acknowledge that the town, like I mean, from their perspective, they were just in an empty road, an empty field, as though, even though the sign was like right there, they're like, Westview doesn't exist. Like, what are you talking about? That sort of thing.
Well,
like
but if that was the case, then why could they see it?
So they don't really know. That's the thing. So Rambao and Jimmy Woo don't really know. They're like, well, maybe because we can see it because we don't have a personal connection. Obviously, it is real because Rambao, like, there's a sign for the turnoff. It's not just the sign outside the town. Like the highway has a sign saying Westview, right? So it could be the cops, for whatever reason, their minds are being affected, and to say like Westview's not, like, that's not a town. We don't know what you're talking about because.
So sorry, Nathan. You're on the view that Westview really exists, and these cops are affected by Wanda saying it doesn't exist. Because now I'm under the impression now that Westview does not exist, and she's created it.
The thing though is that the reason why Jimmy went there is because he has a person in witness protection who was in the town, and that's why he was there. But the problem though is that he is compelled to not enter the town. And when he called friends and family of the witness, that's in witness protection, they don't know who the person that he's talking about. So it's like anyone sort of connected to the town, and the town itself has now been sort of erased, sort of in this way that, like, so people won't go to the town.
Mm.
Okay, so it exists, but like there's like the reality distortion field is trying to make people think that it doesn't exist.
Yeah, a little bit. Like it took me because I was very confused about what they're talking about. That's why I went back and to rewatch them. Like what are they talking about? But it was very clear that he was there looking for like he had stashed somebody there in witness protection, and when he couldn't get a hold of the person, he went looking for them, but he found himself like unable to enter the town. Not like physically, like forced not to, but he's like, the town is telling me to not go in, and everyone I called like looking for this witness, like they've never heard of this person before.
I remember the scene you're talking about, but I felt maybe he was going into a different town. I don't know. Like I know they were looking out into the foreground there on the screen saying here's a town which looks empty, and that's supposed to be a town. Yeah. I didn't get the indication that he said this is Westview. It's just like I had a guy in there. Was the sign still Westview? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Okay. So there's some kind of I'm gonna need to go back and watch that because I didn't get any of that. But okay, that's fine. We'll go back and rewatch it and we'll figure it out. It's okay. We can troubleshoot that shit.
Even the off-road ramp sign was Westview too.
Yeah.
That's right.
Right. All right.
That's why I think it's real. Because if it wasn't real, like those things kind of wouldn't exist in the outside world.
Right. And there's a scene later where they set up the base, and like after they watch the show for a bit, and they're like pinning up all of the people. They're like, like they got the driver's license. This person's playing this guy. This person's playing this guy. So they're identifying the human beings who are in the show, who obviously must live in the town, right? I guess that would make sense.
Yeah, but they only have some. We're jumping ahead. When we get to that,
we can get there. We'll get there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so after that, what happens after that? So that is kind of when they set up their command center and bring in the Nerd Squad.
I should say that Rambao gets sucked in because she walks through the force field and is pulled in.
Right.
And then we see...
I was hurt and insulted in these scenes because when Kat Dennings' character was talking to all those people, and she was interested in everybody, and I think somebody finally said, I'm a chemical engineer, and she goes,
yeah, burn.
Burn.
Actually.
Yeah, I got burned.
Sorry, Harry.
It was the correct response, though, to somebody who said that.
I guess.
Everybody. Yeah.
But coming from her, it was...
Harry, how many times do you get called up by mysterious organizations and put into a forward operating base to research something like that?
I only get called by mysterious operations and get thrown into some like isolated cell with no food and water for days. That's it.
That also
And then
sounds like a Marvel movie. That's
Yeah, no, your time in Guantanamo doesn't count. I was talking about more of
There you go.
they're not as cute as Nerd Girl either, so which is too bad.
Mm-mm. That's right.
That's what happens next, though, right? They set up the FOB, and we get the nerd squad coming in. Why do they need are these 6 people going to be players in the show, or is it just Thor?
I think
Thor
actually, I think what it is because actually, Kat Dennings,
thank you. What's the character's
Darcy.
name?
Darcy.
Jesus, thank you.
So she kind of says it because they all have like very wildly different specialties. And she says, "Oh, so they actually have no clue what's going on." So it sounds as though they just called in who were a bunch of specialists, And so
let's get the nerds in here. Who are the nerds?
I actually kind of wonder though,
nerds.
do these other nerds have weird tangential connections to different Avengers?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Because
exactly.
it's kind of weird that we have 3 people loosely associated with the Avengers in this space. So I just kind of wondered if these other like nameless scientists were sort of in the same boat. Like, yeah, I used to live next door to Falcon, or whatever. It's like I babysit his sister or something when I was in college, or I tutored him in college or something like that, or like just something like just ludicrous like that.
Well, that's exactly what it should be. It's like, I valeted at Black Panther's mansion, or
that'd be
a mechanic and stuff. Yeah, that'd be great. They should do that.
Yeah.
Well, one question I do have is that because they were bringing in all these specialists, why didn't they, they realized that there are Avengers here with Wanda and Vision. Mm-hmm. You think they wouldn't have called any other, the Avengers themselves? Like, can you get through to this one? We need some help here.
I guess it's like, it's comic book logic because, every time, if you read a Batman comic, it's like, well, can't we just call Superman or the Flash to take care of this shit? It's like, well, no, it's not his book, I know. Man. Like, it's not his book.
That's right. That's the answer. That's the answer.
Exactly.
Just from an in-universe logic look at it, it's like, maybe give someone a call, Nick Fury, or he may not be there, or whoever else, so.
I'm guessing, like, somebody probably placed a call to somebody, and he was just like, look, man, I just was in hand-to-hand combat with this giant purple alien. I need a minute, okay? So, sorry, there's a sitcom happening in fucking New Jersey? Okay, just fucking handle it. I'm on fucking vacation, bro.
Also, the Avengers are in disarray at this point, right? I mean, like a lot of them are just gone.
Yeah, who are they
Tony Stark is dead. Black Widow
Winter Soldier?
Is
it's
dead.
Like, if we need a sniper, we'll call the Winter Soldier. We need some science shit.
And I'm still confident that we'll actually get an Avenger popping in towards the end.
I agree. Yeah, someone's going to show up, even if it's a low rent Avenger.
Yeah, but I think a low rent Avenger.
That should be a name.
Shows up.
I'm low rent.
A low rent. Yeah,
the low rent Avenger. It's just like the toxic Avenger, right? But he's just a low rent.
That sounds like something out of Mystery Men.
I was going to say, it'd be like Mr. Furious will show up, right? And like, who called this guy?
Actually, saying that, I think the Toxic Avenger should actually be part of the Avengers, now that we think about it.
He's such a dick, though. Like, he's always using racial slurs, and he's super misogynist. He's so toxic that you just can't have him in the office at all. So you gotta have him. You can't have him.
I've never seen the movie. Is that true?
I'm just making a joke. It's just toxic.
Oh, okay.
But no, dude, you got to woke it up. You got to call it the canceled event.
There you go.
I love the laugh track thrown in there.
There we go. I thought I could. I was waiting to use it, so there you go.
Okay. Actually, the other reason I kind of thought they didn't call in an Avenger, it's kind of one of those things where it's like, no, you know what? We can handle this. We don't need men in tights. Sort of thing, right? Especially from the director of Sword there, because they're also, I don't know, like there's still, they may have some connection to this in some weird way, sort of in the way that, like Hydra was running SHIELD, like maybe AIM is running Sword. I'm literally just thinking this up on the spot. I also think there's also a practical reason, is that you can't like call an Avenger like right now because it's only episode 4.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? You got to wait to this is 9-episode show, I think. So you got to wait for episode like 8 or 9 for them to show up. So,
and like, which Avenger are you going to call for this situation? Like, if you call Thor and he can show up, you're like, okay, what do you want me to do? And they'd be like, I don't know, there's a weird force field over there. And Thor would be like, all right, I'll see you guys later.
Well, he's off planet now, so I still think Doctor Strange might show up, or Captain Marvel might be one or the other. I think
yeah.
Doctor Strange makes a little bit more sense just because the meta narrative that this ties into the second Doctor Strange movie.
Right.
But
yeah,
from like a strictly like a power level, if you needed someone who like if Wanda goes out of control, it feels like more like a Captain Marvel thing because they're like kind of the two strongest ones left. Well, not left, they are the two strongest out of the whole bunch.
That's right. Yeah.
Well, just to kind of, I would say the only one left, I can't remember where the character left off. I don't think they addressed him at all, but it'd be Bruce Banner and Hulk would be coming in here. He's got the smarts.
I guess they've only got...
Yeah.
But their budget is only going to allow for Mark Ruffalo to come in one Disney Plus series, and he's a lock for She-Hulk, so you can't get him for this one, too.
No, that's right. But I'm just saying from a character perspective, that's who you would be calling in here.
Yeah, I could.
I guess. I think more on the general scientific nature of it. I could see them saying, well, we got to bring in Banner. Yeah.
Yeah, we need a big brain. We need a big brain on this. Yeah. And Tony Stark's dead, so he's the only big brain left. So yeah, I mean, that's possible. I feel like they're gonna kind of like lower decks it and be like, we don't need these fancy guys here. We got this. And of course, they're gonna fuck it up because they're the losers. So all right, so where are we? So they set up the base and they hook up the televisions there, so they're watching the sitcom, which was, I don't know, what'd you guys think of that? That was funny in a sense. Like she's sitting there watching. She's like, "Sorry, I was invested," or whatever she said. Right? Like they're watching the show.
I have many questions about this.
All right. Well, ask away.
Okay. So question number 1 is: so they're watching basically what we saw. Yeah. So then my question then is that inside the bubble, the Westview anomaly, as they're calling it in the show, I think, does Wanda and Vision and the other characters, do they hear the laugh track? Because they're always playing to like the same sort of angle all the time. So do they understand or is that part of the reality, or is that only part of like the broadcast that they are seeing on the outside of the anomaly? Because there are other strange things that do happen that we can kind of talk about specific scenes, because it seems as though there are jump cuts in what Darcy sees versus what we saw in the show. Like most notably when Dottie cuts her hand, we don't see that in the broadcast that Darcy sees.
Oh yeah.
But there's like a jump cut. But I mean, in the show that we saw, there's like a good like 3 or 4, 5 seconds of things that are happening. So what is the reality inside the bubble versus what's on the outside?
I guess the reality is whatever Wanda wants to be, right?
It is. I guess I was more caught up than like I was thinking like the question of like, what are people actually experiencing inside the bubble then at that point? Because the reality seems to be warped.
Well, the reality is warped. So if you're in the warped reality, you probably don't perceive it necessarily as warped. Like, do they hear the laugh track? I would say
a little bit like a dream where you just don't question the absurdity.
It's just there. That's just what happens, right? Like that's part of the structure of existence. So yeah, they don't question it.
Yeah. So the other question I had was, are there actually more episodes like that we haven't seen, right? So like, I mean, we obviously are watching a show. We had episode 1, we had episode 2, episode 3. Is Darcy and the rest of the Sword Gang, are they seeing more episodes? Because Darcy has...
I don't think so. So far, no.
Okay, so the only reason, at first I thought, okay, maybe they're just watching the same episodes on repeat. Also, not a lot of time has passed because that guy has been crawling in the sewer for a while.
Yeah.
But I
think this was all just like catch up, like happening in real time. We were seeing what was going on while we were watching the episodes from the previous week.
But hang on. Darcy has a line where, so she notices that there is a radio in in the kitchen. And Darcy says that in every episode she's washing dishes, right? Because it's the 50s. I mean, I'm
right, once per
paraphrasing
episode, but it's only the second episode.
That's the thing, though, is that, but they haven't seen the episode that's in the 60s. So is it just that same episode that's on repeat? So it's kind of odd that it's like, well, if it's repeating, why would they think they can contact her? And then also, there's a scene when they watched the show in the 60s. This is something I would actually have to go back and check. It seemed as though they were actually watching something on the screen that we did not see in the episode.
It just could be because we didn't, as the audience, didn't see the entire episode. In the MCU's reality, they're getting more glimpses than what we are getting.
But that's what I mean, though, is that are there multiple episodes that you and I don't see, but inside the MCU universe, they see multiple episodes from the different eras. But again, the time frame doesn't make a lot of sense because how long is that guy crawling in the sewer then for?
Right.
Like he couldn't have been crawling for more than like an hour or a bit. Like there's no way he's going to do that in that hazmat suit.
They needed to shrink that thing so he could shimmy like Bishop in Aliens.
Yeah.
No, that's right.
It was a little bit confusing because their idea to contact Wanda hinged on there being her being next to a clock. But if I don't know, it was just maybe a little clunkily edited, and that was just sort of the problem. But it did actually make me pause and think that, oh, what if there are actually multiple episodes that they see that we don't see? Maybe that's season 2, the missing episodes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right. So a couple of things I wanted to bring up where they're in the base there. So what did you guys take away from? They had the blackboard there, and they made note of the hexagons.
That's right. Yeah, they made the note of that.
Is Vision alive? They had the
why sitcoms.
Why sitcoms? Yeah. Did you guys think anything of that, or just sort of a meta situation here? The hexagon's got to be. We talked about that last week.
We did. Yeah. It's actually interesting that like this would have been filmed last year, and they sort of anticipated the questions that us, the real audience, would have.
Which is kind of a fun meta thing that they're doing, right? It's like
that's
meta.
Right. That's right. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I picked up on all of that. It was good.
There was one other thing I noticed on that board. It's off to the left, and actually the first letter, but it says Skrulls.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Which I think it's just like a Easter egg throwaway thing. Like it's probably because he's just writing things on the board, and it's probably just one of those. They'll never address it. I don't think that actually comes into play at all.
No, I mean, how could it? Like that would be a lot.
It's just too much.
Okay, so we get past that. We kind of get back into. We don't get into the sitcom. We get back sort of the end of last episode to see what actually happened with Monica, which is what I assumed is that she just got blown out of the reality there because Wanda's defending whatever she's doing there, right? So I thought it was kind of a cool shot where she.
Yeah, it was fantastic effect seeing her get blown out. But then you have Vision coming in, right? Why don't we talk about that? Where then he's dead Vision. She sees that. She kind of removes that because she was snapped back into reality because of Monica. That snapped her back in, and I think the aspect ratio was still all wide and everything like that, right? So she was. So then she once she deals with that. And Vision walks in. It's dead Vision. And then she goes, no. You get the quick little change, and he's back to regular Vision. But she says, don't worry. He's still asking that question he was asking last week. Something is not right or something along those lines, or we don't have to be here. And then she goes,
he says we can leave.
Home. Yeah, we can leave.
He says we can leave.
Home. So now, is it not more clear, though, that this is Wanda wanting to be in this reality? She has created this. She has this control. I'm getting that vibe more and more as we are going through here. It's not like something has happened to Wanda, really. Yes. Something may have triggered this to happen, but she's now wants to be here. She knows very well what's going on because now she's willfully thrown this person out, and she knows that's the reality, and she just won't accept it. And she wants to have this fairy tale pretend life with Vision, that family life.
I think that's all mostly correct. So I think that she is purposefully ignorant of it. Like, I wonder if she constructed this so that she wouldn't be aware that she constructed it. Do you know what I mean? Like, she said, like, you know what I mean? She's like, I want to go in here. It's kind of like The Matrix. Joe Pantoliano, he's like, I don't want to remember anything. I want to go back in, and I don't remember anything.
Can I ask you guys a quick question about if you guys remember this? Do you remember the technology that Tony Stark created?
Stony Tark.
Stony Tark.
That's his name, Stony Tark. Yeah.
Stony Tark. Do you remember the technology that Stony Tark created to help try and heal your past trauma? And it was like this whole
the
matrixy
hologram thing. Yeah.
It had like some dumbass name. Did she try and use that, and then just in combination with her powers, it just got out of hand?
That's interesting.
I don't even remember what tech you're talking about.
That was Iron Man 3.
No,
right?
it was Civil War.
Oh yeah, it was Civil War.
In Civil War, it's basically his introduction in the movie. He's at MIT or something.
Yep.
And we see like a pretty good de-aged RDJ
Tony.
with his parents at like the night that they
killed,
or the way he had it was the night that they were killed, but it was like some interaction that never actually happened with them or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then that technology kind of came back in Spider-Man Far From Home. I think that's how did it. No, I guess not, it didn't. But I'm just thinking, like, is that because that technology was used to deal with past trauma and grief.
Yeah.
That technology, it was all about him getting over the death of his parents and just like those unresolved issues. So I started thinking, like, would that tie in? Like, and just given her power set, we only ever saw her like her mind manipulation in Age of Ultron, and that power just sort of went away.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there because I mean, it's in the MCU. But
no, that's interesting.
It's a possibility, definitely.
I still think that Vision has some role to play because he has those lines like we don't need to stay here or whatever. And there's a couple shots in this episode where we just see Vision's face. You can see in his face, he's like, for lack of a more academic phrase, he's like, you can see it there.
Yeah.
When she turns away, he's like, so he's still got to be there somehow, right? Like I think Vision's alive, still some form of him's there.
I think that at the very least, like there's like his body is there, and that she is somehow reanimating him. I almost wonder if she's actually trying to recreate the Mind Stone, and perhaps in this weird area, it's sort of almost like a fake version, almost kind of like in that episode of Voyager where Neelix got his lungs removed and they gave him holographic lungs. I wonder if here she's great episode.
It's like Beauty and the Beast.
It was a great episode except for the ending. It was a great episode except for the ending where he lived.
Yeah. Where they're like, we can just give him a new lung. It's no big deal.
Thanks for thinking of that at the end of the episode.
So I almost kind of wonder if there's like if somehow like she has like somehow recreated enough because her powers come from the Mind Stone. So I almost wonder if she's somehow able to at least make some sort of facsimile that's able to sort of. And that's why I still think that he's alive, but only in this like inside this bubble. And if he were to leave, it would just be his corpse. And that was a creepy shot. Zombie Vision.
Yeah, that was
creepy. And we were just coming off, I think, not like I wasn't scared, but there's some. Monica was definitely threatened by. I mean, like who wouldn't be by Wanda? Because Wanda's now getting upset.
Yeah.
I don't know. I still think there's some sort of outside force to all this on some level, but she is now like fully invested in just remaining here because she now realized that, okay, Monica doesn't belong and is sort of breaking the fourth wall a little bit of this reality. And so therefore, but like Wanda's still like, she didn't just like up and kill her, right? All she did was just eject her. And like going through, and it was still very TV-esque. Like that probably would have in the real world that would kill her. Like she just went through like a brick wall and a fence and flew like 100 feet through the air.
Yeah,
it's interesting questions. I can't wait to see what they do with that because we've been kind of hanging on the same questions for a couple of episodes now. So it's
good. That kind of brings me to the next part that I want to talk about, which is it's good that we get some answers. We get at least the context of where and maybe not what's happening, but we can start to formulate what's happening. Like we see what's kind of going on within the MCU. But I don't know I don't know what you guys think, but I was disappointed. Not that it was a bad episode, but because I was into the format. Like, this wasn't a sitcom episode.
No, I had the same thing. Yeah, I was looking forward to 80s sitcom or whatever they were going to do next, and more Wanda and Vision. And we got like 1 minute of Wanda and Vision, if that.
Yeah,
and
1 minute
it was
of WandaVision from the last episode, basically.
From the last episode, that's right. And I think our guessing has pretty much led to like our discussions, and I guess most fans would be on the same page. It wasn't that there was a ton that was revealed here. I mean, except for the beekeeper, and because he had the sword uniform on anyways, it wasn't like, who is this guy? Because if you know who Sword is, you've already guessed it. So that looks like it's not too much of a stretch. Like, it wasn't too much that was really revealed. It was nice to see, but the thing is, I think it would have been better played if we got a half and half. Like, maybe instead of a 35-minute episode, which I think this was, we could have gone into, a 45 to an hour long episode, and we did half on the outside world and reality and half in Wanda and Vision, the next sitcom, whatever they were doing.
Yeah, totally agree with
that
you.
Would be good. Yeah, that would have been better.
100%. I think that would have been better. The only other idea that I had, and I hate to rewrite or to attempt to rewrite this stuff because, who are we, is if in the outside world, like still doing it as a reality, but having done that slightly as a sitcom. You know what I mean? Like, they could have done this episode, like they're on the outside, but they could have done that as a sitcom. And I think that would have been funnier or at least more interesting as opposed to just sort of straight MCU stuff. That might have been a neat way to go, right? I think that's a missed opportunity. There were comedic beats, which are fine. Like, they chose the comedic characters that we know, Nerdy Girl and Asian Sensation, to be in the episode, which I liked. So I'm happy that they're there and they were funny, sort of. But they really could have punched that up a lot by having them in a sitcom type of situation. I don't know. So it's kind of too bad, but
it's weird. I'm the opposite of you guys, where I dug this episode. The reason being is that I feel like if we had gotten the 80s episode, which now I'm guessing is going to be next week, that it would have been diluted if they had switched back and forth. Now, if you make it a longer episode, like it's an hour, maybe, but I think they're committed to a shorter 30 minutes, give or take. And so I think that would have diluted the sitcom portion of it, but I don't think I would wanted to have seen the Sword base as a sitcom, because then it's really like, well, what is going on here? Because the whole point of that is that this is not real that's going on in Westview.
I mean,
and so
not necessarily
this is the nice break.
But not necessarily not a sitcom as in like a period piece sitcom, but
no, but like a more modern.
Modern.
Yeah, but the thing though is that they are going to do that inside the unreality bubble.
Yeah. No, I
can tell you that for a fact. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm looking forward to that. It just
because actually that was a little bit of my problem with last week's episode, is that I kind of felt that almost too much of the mystery had crept into the episode, and that diluted it a little bit for me. I found that distracting, whereas I just want an 80s episode they're just doing some dumb 80s trope, and that's kind of it, right? And with a little bit less of the mystery, because here's the thing is that there's only, I think, 5 more episodes. So I think this is what's going to happen. We're going to get an 80s episode. We'll get a 90s episode. We're going to get like a more modern, like a Modern Family type of episode. And then we're going to get 2 episodes that are just straight MCU craziness of them blowing shit up.
Right. That's
probably.
Although if they do have an Avenger come in, I want to see that Avenger in the reality of some dumbass.
I want to see. I want to see the Hulk in a Seinfeld episode. That's what I want to see.
Oh, I would. No, I was about to say
Kramer.
I would want
the Hulk is Kramer. And like he busts through the door, but he blows out the whole wall as he busts through the door. You know what I mean?
But I'm almost positive that it will not be Hulk. I'm positive on my guess. It's going to be. That's what I want. I want like Benedict Cumberbatch as Kramer.
That'd be funny
or something.
Too.
That'd be
actually
funny.
Any Avenger as Kramer would be absolutely hysterical.
There's actually you could look it up, but when the first Doctor Strange movie came out, they had a good bit on Jimmy Kimmel. Not that I'm a big Jimmy Kimmel fan, but it's like this whole thing of like Jimmy Kimmel's having a birthday party for his kid, And Doctor Strange shows up and he's like, well, where's the problem? He's like, oh, it's all these kids. And he's like, wow, that's not my beat. And Jimmy Kimmel's like, oh, okay. Well, sorry about the confusion. But I've got this $20 here burning it in a hole in my pocket. And Benedict Cumberbatch like, wait, how much? And then he's just like sitting on and he's in the full costume and everything. It's actually a pretty funny bit. You look it up, and that's like, I would love to see that if like Doctor Strange is like trapped in just some asinine sitcom situation.
That would be pretty good
because he could play it well. Like the annoyance of like, because like Doctor Strange is just like kind of an asshole, but he has to like for whatever reason kind of almost is forced to play along with it, but also like the indignity of having to do it.
Sorry to stop you, but the French president has entered the live studio, so I don't know if I'm going to get a chance to say that again. So welcome,
you will
French
not.
president. Welcome. Yes. Bonjour. That's great. Fantastic.
And there's a show. That's a show.
That's a show. Yeah. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead, Nathan.
Oh, I think I made my point. I just, like I said, I just kind of disagreed with your guys' take on the episode. I think this gave it a nice break so that we can just sort of get back to the conceit of the sitcom and have a little bit less of the outside world intrude. I think going back and forth between the two would just be, it's a little too jarring, and it makes it
jarring. But
because I want to see the MCU world of it all, but I don't want to see that intrude necessarily in one episode of like, oh, I want this fun 80s stuff, but yet I don't need to see Jimmy Woo cracking some weird ass joke on the outside world.
But wouldn't it be interesting? I think we talked about this. So if Wanda has that ability to take control of reality, and that's just she's isolated it just to this town. But if she loses control, it'll expand. Because you guys talked about like the comics and all that other stuff where she really bends reality for everything. So if it starts expanding out, I thought that, I don't know, Geoff, if that's what you were alluding to, where it might be interesting.
No, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I was thinking not like with this episode of Say That you do it as a sitcom, not as if the reality had engulfed them. Although that Harry is an interesting idea if it did. I just thought that they could have subtly, stylistically made this episode as more of a modern style comedy, but clearly still in the real world, you know, like not doing like The Office style where like they've got the documentary style and they do the interviews and stuff like that. Like none of that.
I do want to point something out. I think that, and this is not in any of the marketing material, but I've seen something that makes me think that eventually this is not going to be contained to Westview. I just want to bring up the fact that
no spoilers,
no spoilers, but the two quote unquote comedic characters are people who are from sitcoms. Kat Denning has been in sitcoms. Actually, I believe she was even in a sitcom with Brie Larson many years ago, and Raymond Park, another sitcom guy. So is I think Fresh Off the Boat.
Okay, what sitcom was Kat Dennings in?
She was in Two Broke Girls, was she not?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you're right.
But I just remember seeing like a picture of it. But she was I think in a sitcom with Brie Larson when Brie Larson was like 9. So that's just a weird Marvel connection. But I do think that what's happening in Westview is going to spill out, and they may have like an episode where it's like it's actually like a mix of like a bunch of different things, and it'll sort of be because I feel like that's too good of an opportunity to pass up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so now that you guys have hinted at it, I mean, I think it would be a wasted opportunity if the outside world wasn't more impacted by what Wanda was doing, just for the charm of having some of that sitcom style impact out there. I think that would be fun to see, but I mean, it's not absolutely necessary.
But I think we're also kind of missing that this is not like we're having fun with the sitcom, but this is all in service to a character who is going through a very traumatic period. So I kind of feel like, oh, it's all happy and blah, blah, blah. It's actually going to kind of more end in misery, which I think is going to be the direction of the show.
Yeah, that's a good point that you bring up because it seems to be like it's clearer and clearer that this is born out of Wanda's trauma obviously over Vision's murder at the hands of Thanos, but obviously this war that she had to fight in, and
but she's a very traumatic character, right? She
that's
her
correct.
brother died.
Her brother died. Yeah, she fought in. She fought in that war. Her homeland was destroyed. Her brother was killed.
She killed all those people.
That's right. Yeah.
Right, and then losing Vision. So
yeah, losing
she's had a lot
Vision,
of trauma
fighting this war. Yeah, she's got some serious trauma weighing down on her.
Well, I wouldn't say, actually, I want to back up. I personally don't want to say trauma. I mean, there is trauma in her life, but it's grief, I think, is the emotion that she's kind of more dealing with. Like when you lose someone, it's traumatic, but you deal with the grief part of it. So
right. But it's almost like both, right? Like she has the grief, but it's not like she lost somebody due to like a long illness or something like that. Like it's the sudden trauma of these things that she had to watch these things happen too. Like she had to see her. I don't know if she watched her brother, but like she was there, but she had to watch Vision be killed.
And she killed him first.
And she had to kill him and then watch him be killed. Yeah. I forgot. I forgot about that. Exactly.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of real rough shit that she's going through here.
Yeah.
Man, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
Shit,
so
that throws the whole thing up in the air. Like
it's funny for a character that has almost no development in the movies. When you actually think about what she's been through, it's a lot. Like it's a lot more, and they don't ever dwell on it in the movies that much. No. You know, like after her brother died, it was, I don't think I ever really addressed it at the end of that. Civil War, you know, I mean, it was an accident that she killed those. Well, she didn't really kill him. I guess it was, I forget the character's name. Is it Crossbones? It's Crossbones. I mean, it's an accident, right? It was an accident. Right. Yeah. It's, you know, and then the whole thing with Vision. And they never really dwell on these very heavy events from previous movies. And it's never brought up. The brother is never brought up.
No, he's not.
The thing from Civil War, never brought up again, right? So,
you know, I really loved her. It was a very Joss Whedon moment. Maybe that's controversial now. I don't know if he's okay or not. But in Age of Ultron, it's Act 3, and she's hunkered down with the Arrow guy, and he's trying to be the elder statesman. And he's like, "Okay, you can stay here. It's fine, but if you walk out those doors, you're an Avenger." And she goes out and she takes care of some business there. Like she's kind of been low key in these movies. Man, I'm really glad there's something about her, right? Like she's a star, and this character's really this is a C-list character. She's not even second string in the Marvel universe, I would say. You know, and they're really going for it with her. And I think
she's going to have a bigger role in the MCU.
I think so too.
Going forward. I mean, I've heard theories that, she's actually going to be the next big villain, all this sort of stuff. I don't know if I buy that, but
no, I don't think so.
But just given like she's too good. You got too good of an actor. She's too big of a player. Just like in the MCU, power wise, like she's just like too big to like, Scarlet Witch, she's off just doing a thing. And Kevin Feige has kind of hinted that she's just going to have a bigger role to play. Right. Mm-hmm. So, and I think right now, this show is too popular. They can't we'll just make this mini series and that'll be it. Like they must be formulating some plan to be able to recapture the magic of what this show is.
Yeah, I agree. Okay. So I guess that brings us to the end of the episode there. Yeah. Harry, I guess we can kind of like wrap it up. Harry, what are your overall, give us your recap of the episode.
I think I side with what you had said earlier, Geoff, is that I was a bit disappointed in this episode. And it's not because of what was shown. It was just I was really looking forward to the next decade of parody or satire of this 80s sitcom. So that was robbed of us, unfortunately, this week. But I don't mind seeing the outside world. So it's good to see and play catch up there. And now we know what's going on. So I think most of our guesses were correct on what was going on from what we were talking about before. From what I remember, it wasn't a lot of surprises, but it was good to see the the characters on the outside putting some pieces together and figuring things out. That was good. You got to see the helicopter come in. You got to see them watch the episodes at Wanda that we were seeing. So, and how they were, getting the information, and the beekeeper guy and all those kind of things, and Sword and all that stuff. So yeah, I'm okay with it. It was not a terrible episode. It was just a bit disappointing. It was my least favorite that we've seen so far, but I'm still excited to see what's next for Wanda and Vision there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Nathan, what are your final thoughts for the episode?
I just have one last thing I wanted to bring up. This will be real quick. There's one other joke that Jimmy Woo had when the director said, "Oh, there must be somebody or they must really miss you at the FBI or something like that." And he goes, "No, sir. Softball season is over." And it's it's a dumb line, but the delivery was so amazing. I really dug this episode. I think it was like a nice little break. And I think when the show is complete, I think it will make a little bit more sense to have this break in the middle. I get that you guys, or Harry at least, because you mentioned it, that you didn't get the 80s episode that you wanted. You are going to get it. I know you know that. So I think this was a really good episode. I liked seeing that outside world, and I suspect that looking back on it when we're at the end of the series, it will, I think for people who don't like it, and I understand people, like when you say your reasons for not liking it, I think it'll make more sense in context in the bigger scheme of things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess I'm with you both. Like when I was watching it, I kind of had the thought that Nathan was saying right there. I was like, okay, this will, like a year from now, if I want to revisit it and just binge all 9 episodes, this will make more sense. But disappointed to because I'm so into the format and what they're trying to do, to not get more of the sitcom this week was disappointing. So, but yeah, we got 9 episodes. We got 5 to go, and so I guess patience is a virtue. And I don't know, streaming services don't reward. They just want to. I want it all right now. I want everything today. But I guess if you got to back up and say is this a decent episode of TV? I think they did a decent job. They had its laughs. We got some more characters introduced, some familiar characters from the MCU, which is kind of neat. So that sort of places it within canon, get some context. So I was disappointed. Yeah, it was probably my least favorite episode as well. But I hope that we get back. I hope we get back to the good stuff next week, and I hope they don't diverge too much into what we saw this week. But hey, that's great. They're doing it. They're doing a real different thing, and I'm still here for it. So okay, so that's WandaVision episode 4, guys. There's the show. That's the show. So we'll be back next week with episode 5. Email us at rareantiquitiespod@gmail.com and tweet at us at some bullshit. I don't know, Harry. Where can they tweet at us at?
Rare Antiquity.
At Rare Antiquity or Antiquities?
Antiquity.
At Rare Antiquity. All right. So tweet at us there. Hit us up next week. We're going to do the whole series and check out our regular show where we check out some old stuff, some forgotten gems. So unless anybody has some final thoughts on WandaVision, I guess we'll see you next time, guys. What do you think?
I'm good. Yeah.
See you next week.
All right.
Can't wait.
There's the show. Okay. Talk to you guys then. Thanks for coming.
Yeah. See how you guys have a good night.
All right.